In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on January 21st, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Detroit Pistons versus New Orleans Pelicans. The Detroit Pistons and New Orleans Pelicans match up on Wednesday in NBA action at the Smoothie King Center, and both teams walk into this one carrying very different stories right now. You have one group playing like a confident, rising team and another trying to remember what winning feels like for more than a night or two at a time. Detroit's recent form pretty much speaks for itself. They just took down the Celtics, handled the Pacers, and have the Rockets waiting for them next on the schedule. The Pistons have won 15 of their last 21 games, which is not some cute mini streak. That is a serious run for a team that was struggling badly earlier in the year. You can feel that shift in energy, where they go into games expecting to compete and expecting to close instead of hoping things break their way. New Orleans is walking a very different path at the moment. The Pelicans coming off losses to the Pacers and Rockets, with the Grizzlies coming up next, and the trend has not been kind. They have dropped 13 of their last 15 games. That sort of slide wears on everybody, from the rotation guys to the coaching staff to the fans watching at home wondering how the same mistakes keep showing up. In terms of personnel, the contrast is just as clear as the recent records. The Pistons do not have any players listed on the injury report, which is a rare luxury in a long season and a big reason why they look as connected as they have all year. The Pelicans, on the other hand, are still missing DeJounte Murray and Jose Alvarado, with Herbert Jones sitting in that uncomfortable questionable range that has everyone checking updates before tip. It is not the only reason they are struggling, but it certainly does not help when key pieces are in street clothes or uncertain. Detroit is playing like one of the hottest teams in the league right now, and the health piece matters because their current surge is built on continuity and confidence more than some random hot shooting week. That gritty win over the Celtics on Monday really feels like the kind of result that reinforces everything they have been doing: tough possessions, defensive stretches that matter, and enough composure late to finish the job. New Orleans feels like the exact opposite at the moment. They look like the coldest team in the league, still dealing with injuries, and their last outing did not inspire much faith. The effort and sharpness simply were not where they need to be. From a betting angle, there is a little tug of war in your head here, because big numbers with the Pistons are not exactly a dream scenario. They are just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games when listed as favorites of 8 or more points, which always makes you pause a bit before clicking the button. But then you look at the other side and remember it is the Pelicans right now, a team that has dragged itself back into losing habits and sits at 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. That makes it easier to say you have little use for the Pelicans in this stretch, because the trend is not just losing, it is losing while also coming up short against the number. So this spot becomes pretty simple in theory, even if no game is ever truly simple in practice. You trust the better team that is trending up, you keep fading the group that looks like it is going nowhere fast, and you live with the result knowing the form and numbers pointed in that direction. The Pistons were always going to be heavy favorites here. That part was easy to see, but the line still does not feel high enough to push you off them completely, especially when you picture how this could look if Detroit brings the same focus on the road that they have shown in recent wins. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Pistons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Detroit Pistons are averaging 118.8 points on 48% shooting and allowing 112.7 points on 44.4% shooting, which already tells you they know how to score and they are not exactly letting every opponent go wild on their defense. That kind of balance, strong offense with a reasonably solid defense, usually sets the stage for games that feel lively without turning into complete chaos. From beyond the arc, Detroit is shooting 35.1%, which is steady enough to keep defenses honest without being totally reliant on a crazy hot night from deep. At the free throw line, they are hitting 75.3%, so there are a few points left on the table, but not in a way that completely derails their scoring profile. Defensively, the Pistons are allowing 35% shooting from 3 and grabbing 46.3 rebounds per game, which means they are contesting reasonably well on the perimeter and cleaning the glass often enough to limit endless second chances. It all adds up to a team that can hang a big number on you while still forcing you to work for your own. New Orleans brings a slightly different shape to the same conversation, and it pulls the total picture in an interesting direction. The Pelicans are averaging 114.9 points on 46.4% shooting, so they can absolutely put the ball in the basket, but they are allowing 122.2 points on 48.6% shooting, which is a huge red flag on the defensive side. They are giving up a lot of efficiency, and nights like that can turn even a normal pace game into something that feels faster and wilder on the scoreboard. From deep, New Orleans is shooting 34.1%, not elite, but respectable, and they are hitting 78.2% from the free throw line, which quietly keeps the points ticking when they do attack and draw contact. On the other end, they are allowing 36.1% shooting from beyond the arc and pulling down 43.5 rebounds per game, so they are giving up clean looks from outside more often than they would like and not dominating the glass enough to cover for it. That combination, leaky perimeter defense and modest rebounding, is exactly the kind of mix that invites opponents like Detroit to keep the pressure on offensively. When you put all of this together, you get a pretty clear sense of how the rhythm of this game might feel. Detroit has the scoring punch and efficiency to keep their own number high. New Orleans has the firepower to respond in stretches, and the Pelicans' defensive issues create plenty of room for both offenses to do what they do best. So even if there are short lulls or slower stretches, the overall statistical profile on both sides leans toward a matchup where the scoreboard is likely to stay busy from the opening tip through the final horn. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Milwaukee Bucks. The Oklahoma City Thunder and Milwaukee Bucks square off on Wednesday at Pfizer Forum, and it has that feel of a game where one team is trying to keep a train rolling while the other is just trying to steady the tracks a little bit. Oklahoma City shows up having just smacked the Cavaliers, taken a step back against the Heat, and with the Pacers waiting next, so this week is not exactly a walk in the park for them either. Still, when you have won 40 of your last 48 regular season games, you walk into most buildings with a bit of quiet swagger, even if you would never say it out loud in a presser. Milwaukee's vibe is different right now. The Bucks are coming off a loss to the Spurs, a win over the Hawks, and then they look ahead to the Nuggets, which is a pretty tricky sandwich of opponents. They have dropped 4 of their last 6, and while that is not full-blown panic mode, it is very much the kind of stretch that makes everyone look a little harder at film and body language. The injury report adds another wrinkle, which, honestly, has become part of the daily routine for NBA fans and bettors alike. For the Thunder, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Nikola Topic are all still out of the picture, and Jalen Williams lands in that familiar questionable bucket that keeps everyone checking social feeds close to tip. For Milwaukee, the status of Kevin Porter Jr. and Miles Turner is the big thing to monitor, with both listed as questionable, and that can swing rotations and matchups quite a bit if either one sits. So this is definitely one of those nights where you want to double-check the lineups before you lock yourself into any strong opinion, because the names available could tilt things more than usual. Even with those uncertainties, the broader trend lines feel pretty clear right now. Oklahoma City is trending up again after that little mid-season wobble, and you can see them getting back to the habits that made them look so sharp during their big surge: connected defense, patient offense, and a sort of calm confidence late in games. Milwaukee, in contrast, is trying to rediscover that same rhythm, and the recent results suggest they are still searching, not completely lost, but not quite synced up either. That is why, even though the Bucks are at home and the number might tempt you a bit, there is a natural pull toward the side that has been stringing together wins for months rather than just trying to stop the bleeding. If the Thunder bring anything close to the intensity and focus they showed in that Monday performance, especially on the defensive end, they have every chance to control large stretches of this game, even in a tough road environment. The Bucks will have their moments. Home crowds usually guarantee at least one serious run, but Oklahoma City's recent form gives them more margin for error if this turns into a battle of poise and execution instead of pure variance. As our first pick for this matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Looking only at how this one might feel on the scoreboard, the Thunder's recent profile has quietly become very friendly to lower totals. They have won 6 of their last 7 games heading into this road date, and what really stands out is how they have done it, with defense, with control, with a willingness to make their opponents uncomfortable for long stretches. 3 of their last 4 opponents have been held to 104 points or fewer, and 2 of those teams did not even crack the century mark, which is pretty telling in a league that loves pace and space. After a little swoon from mid-December through early January, Oklahoma City has settled back into playing like the defending NBA champion, and that usually means long, grinding defensive possessions that chip away at totals just as much as they chip away at opponents' patience. Now look at what is waiting on the other side. Milwaukee's offense has not exactly been lighting up the league lately. The Bucks are averaging just 112.4 points per game, which places them near the bottom of the Eastern Conference scoring table and tied for one of the lower marks in the entire league. They have scored 106 points or fewer in 4 of their last 5 outings, and they have not gone past 115 points since early January, which is a long dry spell by modern standards. There is also the individual piece to consider. Miles Turner, who chips in around 12.2 points per game, is questionable with an ankle issue, and while that is not a superstar scoring punch, it is still a meaningful chunk of offense that might be missing. If he is limited or ruled out, the Bucks have to patch together those points from role players, which can slow things down even more as they search for workable combinations on the floor. Pace is the other big piece of this puzzle, and it leans right toward a quieter scoreboard. Milwaukee sits 24th in the league in pace at roughly 102 possessions per game, which tells you they are not interested in turning this into a track meet under normal circumstances. In a matchup like this, against a champion-level opponent, they are even more likely to try to shorten the game, shrink the number of possessions, and make each trip count a little more. Oklahoma City is right in the middle of the pack at 15th in pace, so they are not built like a blur either, and if the Bucks want a slower tempo, the Thunder are more than capable of meeting them there without feeling like they are changing their identity. Put all of that together, a Thunder team leaning hard into defense again, a Bucks offense that has struggled to clear even modest scoring thresholds, a potential scoring absence with Turner's ankle, and 2 teams that do not naturally race up and down, and you get a pretty clear picture of a game that leans toward fewer points rather than a fireworks show. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Toronto Raptors versus Sacramento Kings. The Toronto Raptors and Sacramento Kings meet on Wednesday at the Golden One Center, and both teams roll in with just enough form to keep this from feeling like a throwaway game. Toronto just dropped one to the Lakers, bounced back with a strong win over the Warriors, and has the Trail Blazers up next, so this road swing has a bit of everything built into it. The Raptors have still won 9 of their last 15 games, which tells you they are quietly stacking results even if every night has not been pretty. Sacramento's recent stretch is streaky in a different way. They lost to the Trail Blazers, took a hit against the Heat, and now look ahead to the Cavs, which is not exactly a relaxing schedule either. The Kings have still grabbed 4 wins in their last 6, so they are not collapsing, but there is that familiar feeling where you are never quite sure which version of them you are going to see on a given night. The injury picture adds another twist before you even talk matchups. Toronto is still without R.J. Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Jacoby Walter, so they are used to living with a shorter rotation and asking a little more from the guys who are available. The Kings have ruled out Keegan Murray for this one, which takes away a key piece of their spacing and versatility, even though they otherwise come in as the healthier team on paper. On top of that, there is that nagging thought that they might end up resting Domantas Sabonis since he only just got back from injury. And coaches get very cautious with their stars in these kinds of spots. The funny thing is, the Raptors have not exactly been cruising lately, but they picked a good moment to look sharp again. They were excellent in that dominant win over the Warriors, playing with pace and intent, and Emmanuel quickly set the tone with a big performance that made the whole offense feel lighter. That is part of why they opened as road favorites here, even on a back-to-back, which says a lot about how the market views them compared to where it sits on the Kings right now. Sacramento really struggled to contain the Heat in that ugly blowout loss last night, and when this team checks out defensively, everybody can see it on the scoreboard. Both teams are on the second night of a back-to-back, and usually that points you toward the home side that does not have to hop on a plane. But then you remember it is the Kings, a team that can be thrilling when everything clicks and incredibly frustrating when the defense disappears and you start to hesitate. They are sitting at 18 to 25 to 1 against the spread on the season, and they have already lost 15 times at home, which is not what you want from a supposed home court edge. When the Kings decide they do not really feel like defending, things get ugly fast, and it tends to stay that way. Toronto, on the other hand, keeps putting together stretches of inspiring basketball, especially away from home. They have already picked up 13 wins on the road, which is no small thing for a team still patching around injuries and figuring out its new identity on the fly. Right now it is just hard to feel any real confidence in the Kings, even in their own building, and you can easily see the Raptors taking advantage of another loose defensive effort and sneaking out with the kind of narrow win that still gets the job done against the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Toronto Raptors are averaging 113.9 points on 47.1% shooting and allowing 112.1 points on 46.1% shooting, which points to a team that scores well enough but does not turn every night into a pure track meet. Their games tend to sit in that middle zone where the offense is efficient, but the final totals do not always explode, especially when the defense holds up even a little bit. From deep, Toronto is shooting 33.9% from beyond the arc and 77.4% from the free throw line, which is solid but not exactly flamethrower territory. They are allowing 34.4% shooting from 3 and pulling down 43.2 rebounds per game, so they are doing just enough to limit clean looks and finish possessions on the glass. That mix, average outside shooting on their side and decent resistance on the other, leans more toward controlled scoring than an all-out barrage for 48 minutes. Sacramento's numbers add another layer, and it is not always a flattering one. The Kings are averaging 110.2 points on 46.3% shooting and allowing 120.7 points on 49.2% shooting, which is a huge gap between what they score and what they give up. You can see how easily games can get away from them when the defense slips, but their own offense is not exactly overwhelming on most nights either, so it does not always turn into pure chaos on the scoreboard. From beyond the arc, the Kings are shooting 34.9% and hitting 76.2% at the free throw line, which again is respectable but not terrifying. On the defensive side, they are allowing 4.8% shooting from deep and grabbing 40.6 rebounds per game, and that rebounding number suggests they are not consistently ending possessions in the same way Toronto does. Between their leaky defense inside the arc and their modest work on the boards, you get stretches where the game can bog down into messy possessions and broken sets rather than clean, high-efficiency scoring on every trip. With both teams on the second night of a back-to-back, there is also that natural expectation of a little more fatigue in the legs, which usually shows up first in jump shots and late-game pace. Tired teams tend to slow things down just a bit, work deeper into the clock, and lean more on half-court actions, and that kind of rhythm chips away at total points even when the talent level is there. When you blend Toronto's steady but not explosive scoring profile with Sacramento's uneven offense and defensive lapses that sometimes lead to choppy, disjointed games, you can easily picture a night where the final total lands a touch quieter than some might assume just from hearing these names. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.